Welcome to the next Road to the Snyder Cut. This time it's gonna be in live action with a green screen background, which probably won't work, I don't know. But then again, just like this Justice League theatrical cut, it'll probably look like ass. This is what we're gonna be talking about today. When I said in my last review that for the review for this video is gonna be completely different, I totally mean it. Like, from what I heard, that Joss Whedon re-edited the theatrical cut of Justice League by 75%, according to Warner Brothers executives. So I thought, why don't I only put 25% into making this video? And I haven't even written a script for this video. This is all in my head. I'm not even properly dressed or anything. I'm just want to make this video. I only have 2 days to edit it until the Snyder Cut is released. So let's just get straight to the point. Here is Justice League, the theatrical cut. Okay, starting off with point number one. Henry Cavill's mustache is just immediately in your face. Like the first scene, you just see his missing mustache. I don't know whose idea was it, and who, didn't think that was a bad idea, or who didn't think, okay, why don't we deep fake Henry Cavill's mustache, his face, instead of just removing his mustache. There's so many people who've done the CGI on his mustache so much better than the people at Warner Brothers. I just feel bad for them in that case. You'll be noticing that I'm going to be the structure of these videos will be very random. It won't be like how I usually do it. Like before, I'll talk about the story, and then the characters, and then the action and cinematography. But it's all going to be random. Next up is, why the hell is the burglar having a casual convo with Batman? Like in the beginning, when he sees the parademon, he uses the burglar as bait. Like he has a casual conversation about, oh, they're here because Superman is gone, right? He's like, why is he having a casual conversation with him? And also Batman just leaves him there. Like, he doesn't take him to the authorities or anything. Like, what kind of interpretation are they going for? One positive I can see was I said like the Wonder Woman heist introduction was decent. Okay. This is very weird. Aquaman exposed like Batman's identity, surrounded by people. Like, surely one of those people like knew who Bruce Wayne is, and who they know. And they probably know about Batman, right? And one of them probably have social media. Also, they mentioned that Cyborg, he conveniently has this conversation in the movie about what happened in the lab with his father. But you would expect like that sort of thing to happen ages before the movie, because this is like set way after the lab experiment, right? Or was it just after? No, I doubt it's not after, considering Lex Luthor's files were taken from ages ago. I don't know. This movie does not make sense. Steppenwolf's introduction was so rushed as well. Also, I need to point out again about that burglar scene. Like, the slow motion is just terrible. Joss Whedon does this weird thing where he adds like random slow motion to fight sequences, and it's just plain bad. It literally comes across as TV show-esque, like CW Flash, even though that's kind of mocking the CW Flash, because sometimes they have decent action better than this, for sure. I just noted down, it's just that the CGI is just bad overall. I remember looking at the Daily Planet scene, and it just makes me realize how kind of unfaithful Joss Whedon was to Zack's tone and style. Like, it's so bright and lit, but in contrast with Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, it's very dark and dim. Like, I understand they're trying to make Superman and Metropolis so bright again, but it doesn't make sense in that universe. It's all fitting. They hired the wrong person to take over Zack Snyder's work. I also mentioned how the hell does Diana know that Steppenwolf is the one invading Earth when the Amazons shoot that firebow at that Greek building? Is that building meant to be conveniently set on fire for when Steppenwolf returns? Was that the whole message? Also, why doesn't the Amazons like come out of their hiding from Themyscira and just help Wonder Woman and everyone else? It'll be, instead of just letting Steppenwolf invade the world. Also, one of the dumbest things is that the Mother Box Cube MacGuffin, there are three of them. One made by, one hidden by humanity, one hidden by Amazons, the Amazonians or whatever, and the other by the Atlanteans. The humans, they hid it by burying it in a hole in like a forest. Like, you don't expect like someone in the future to deforestate and just find it one day. Meanwhile, the Amazons and Atlanteans, they put them in like very secure strongholds, and somehow the Amazons and the Atlanteans lose their mother box first before the humans did. And like, how were they so secured if Steppenwolf just magically teleports in there and just grabs him? And like, dude, and he's so creepy. He literally keeps on calling the mother as well, the mother box mother. Like, it's gross. It's weird. Also, I mentioned in my notes that Barry Allen's meant to be smart as hell, but he doesn't know who Bruce Wayne is. Like in Justice League War, the animated film, he knew who he was instantaneously. But then again, like I said about earlier about the Village People and Aquaman, maybe Bruce Wayne isn't as famous as he is in the other adaptations. I don't know. Also, I also pointed out that Gotham seems brighter than usual, which is very, very weird for a Batman setting. Like, the Tim Burton ones, although are bright, but it's very dark and dim in tone. And I think even the Joel Schumacher might have gotten the lighting right. I could be wrong about that. And I have to say this: I really, really hate the Flash in this movie. Like, he's afraid of the parademons. Like, I understand this is his first time confronting them, but he's like legit like pussying out in that fight, and I got so annoyed seeing that, considering at the same time we have Grant Gustin's Flash, who's doing a so much better job, and they gave him a better writing and directing, and now they basically threw Ezra Miller's Flash completely under the bus for no reason, and I just hate it. I absolutely hate it. Also, the Russian family stuff is like extremely dumb and unnecessary. It makes that part of the world in Russia look so small, and it makes the whole Steppenwolf thing look not seem like a bigger threat than it actually is. It's mentioned they mentioned in the film that the mother box was turned on when Superman died, but in the footage in the flashback, it shows it was working when he was alive, when Cyborg was having his scenes. I don't know. It's just very again, another case of this movie just super inconsistent. Again, Batman is a bigger dumbass than in the previous movies, because he literally says to Diana, "Did Steve Trevor tell you that?" Like, he's bullying his teammates into getting what he wants, and that's totally out of character. And you would expect him to be a lot smarter with his words. Again, like I said in the Suicide Squad review, He's all brawn but no brain. I also pointed out that the Flash trying to give Cyborg a fist bump, that whole running gag they're doing there. I can see where Ray Fisher allegations are coming from at that point. It's super unnecessary. Feels I feel borderline, like I feel like third degree racism from my side just from watching it. I don't know. I also pointed out that even the Kryptonian ship doesn't have the same lighting and atmosphere. Just like with the Gotham thing, again, another case of Joss Whedon just being inconsistent again. I also mentioned that DCEU doesn't understand running, because running animation with the Flash is probably the worst that I've seen so far. Like, again, CW, the Flash, has better running than this. That's a low budget TV show. I remember even watching Wonder Woman running in Wonder Woman 1984. That looks horrible as well. It's just terrible. It's just god awful. Also, they also need to explain the floating soil on the coffin in Batman vs Superman, because they never bothered explaining it in this movie at all. Okay, this one really pissed me off. You know, there's always that moment in whenever you watch a movie where you see a scene and it makes you want to give up. Kind of makes you want to leave the cinema. For me, it was when Batman makes a joke about hurting his back or something. He says something like, "Oh, there's something's definitely bleeding," and I'm like, why would you make Batman say that? He was a complete badass in Batman vs Superman, and you're making him make jokes. And this is another case of, this is clearly Joss Whedon's fault. This is why I hate this. Fun fact: I absolutely hate Avengers: Age of Ultron. It's one of the worst. I don't think it's the worst Marvel movie, but it's the one I hate the most, because it's just filled with jokes. It feels like completely filler. The only good things is that it brought in new characters, and it was a good bridge to the Phase 4 Marvel movies. But it seems like Joss Whedon has not learned his mistake with Age of Ultron, and he's carried it on with the DCEU. And I'm kind of glad that Zack Snyder is going ahead with his Snyder cut. I also thought it was funny that Steppenwolf got the last mother box because no one could be bothered to get it while they're fighting Superman. Like, they are all outside where the mother box is. Not a single one decided, maybe we should take it just in case someone tries to come in and steals it. It's made by idiots. I also thought it was worth noting that they ignored Zack's design for Steppenwolf for this Shinnok from Mortal Kombat ripoff, and this is another case of Joss Whedon and WB being unfaithful to Zack Snyder. Like, we saw what Steppenwolf looked like in the end of Batman v Superman, with that ultimate cut and also that deleted scene that was got ported onto Twitter online after the movie's release in theaters. And it's very clear that they had a design for him there, but they just chose to ignore it. I'm not a huge fan of the new design, to be honest, because I think it's a bit glowy, it's a bit too much. But at the same time, it's just a case of why didn't you be faithful to the person who was originally making it, especially when he was going through a whole tragedy, mind you. The mid-credits, although it could have been a very entertaining mid-credit scene, it was ruined because of a poorly animated human who can't run and a mustacheless man, basically. But one thing I'll say that was good about this movie, this is the best performance that Jesse Eisenberg has as Lex Luthor. And he was in it for less than a minute. And he was and he appears at the very end credits. So that's the best thing about that movie. Overall, I'm gonna give this movie a 0 out of 5. This movie sucks. Don't watch it. Well, I hope we will all forget about it. Like, we'll use this as a case. I hope we can just use this as a case study of just letting directors do what they originally wanted to do. Continue with your plan of a cinematic universe, and just continue on with that. I wasn't entirely thrilled or excited about the Snyder Cut after watching Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, but after watching Justice League, the theatrical cut, expectations has risen a little bit. I'm slightly excited to watch it. I just wanted to say and remind people that back in 2018, I got into a little bit of a conversation with a lot of DCEU fans over this movie. And at the time, Avengers Infinity War was released. Everyone loved that movie. So many people loved that movie. And obviously, DCEU fans did not like that movie. And obviously, the big point against DCEU fans was that the CGI for Justice League was just terrible. And they really reached so hard when trying to tackle Marvel CGI with like in between frame shots that just didn't look great. I remember I always argue with like the DCU fans back then by showing the gif of the Flash running, and they would get offended by it. And it's crazy because back then they defended this movie so much, but now times have completely changed. Ever since they heard that Zack Snyder has his own cut, that it's like as if their brains just switched off, and they just realized there's a better movie that isn't this Justice League movie, and they finally got it, and they can finally admit the movie is actually garbage, and this just proves that fan mentality exists. Overall, well, I'm going to discuss the whole rewatched Unreal. It's a very noticeable slope down when you rewatch these movies in chronological order. Wonder Woman being the best, then it goes down and down. Like with my point, how I rate movies out of 5. Each movie goes down in quality by 1 point. So Wonder Woman was a 4 out of 5. Man of Steel was a 3 out of 5. Batman v Superman was 2. Suicide Squad was 1. And Justice League was 0. And it was crazy because I thought Justice League was going to be better than Suicide Squad, because for the longest time I thought Suicide Squad was the worst DCEU movie, or possibly the just worst DC movie that I've seen. But no, I think my mind's fully switched. I think Suicide Squad's ass, but Justice League is just terrible. And yep, that is it for today. If you enjoyed the video, like the video, subscribe and hit the notification button on for new videos. Basically, I'm going to be discussing fan theories and stuff, maybe review other movies, and that's it, and see you next time.